During the American Civil War, Americans suffered one of its greatest casualties, with over 600,000 Union and Confederate soldiers losing their lives. So let's just ask the question, why? Some people still believe the Civil War was over states' rights or economy, and they're not too far off because slavery had a lot to do with both. If you want to go back to the end of the Revolutionary War, the North began to industrialize. They started relying more on the manufactured goods, banks began to pop up, and cities were being formed. Very quickly, slavery became outdated. At first, it looked like the South could be following in the footsteps of the North until 1793 when Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, making cotton an easier and less expensive material to grow. With the increase of cotton, the increase of slaves had to happen. But in 1808, Congress stopped the importation of slaves. Slaves and land gave plantation owners, who were the minority in the South, more political power. That shows you why the Missouri Compromise was extremely important in keeping the balance between slave and free state. The Missouri Compromise happened in 1820, where the state of Missouri would enter as a slave state and Maine as a free state. Also, it prohibited north of the 36th parallel of the Louisiana Territory that all slavery would be banned. Right around this time, the abolitionary movement began to gain a lot of support, especially from Northern women. Because the movement was in full speed, the Southerners blamed the abolitionary movement for the Nat Turner Rebellion. In 1831, Nat Turner started a rebellion, killing at least 50 white people. He fled and was able to hide for 2 months before he was captured and killed. In 1846, Congressman David Wilmot proposed the bill, the Wilmot Proviso, to ban slavery in the territory they knew they would win in the Mexican-American War. That doesn't end until 1848. But Wilmot was turned down every time he proposed. After the war, the U.S. didn't know what to do with the land, so it brings you to the Compromise of 1850.
And in January of 1850, a senator named Henry Clay, who's famous as a compromiser in American history, he offered a package of proposals to try to adjust the sectional debate between the country over this issue. And the debate in the Senate was fierce and intense, some of the most dramatic scenes in American history. And they turned over the architecture, the engineering of this compromise package to Stephen Douglas, a younger senator from Illinois, a Democrat. And Douglas decided that the only way to get enough support for all of the different elements of the compromise was to break it apart and treat it separately. When it achieved final form as a series of separate bills in the fall of 1860, there were only 5 bills. One was about the admission of California as a state, a free state. One was about the organization of the Southwest Territories, New Mexico and Utah, without regard to slavery. One was about the adjustment of the border with Texas and New Mexico. One was about the elimination of the slave trade in the District of Columbia. And the fifth and final bill, and most important for Southerners, a tougher federal fugitive slave law. Afterward,
The Fugitive Slave Act made it so if you did not turn in runaway slaves, you could face jail time. With the North already enraged by the forced law, the 1852 publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin gave them a personal connection with those enslaved. It is said to have helped lay the groundwork for the Civil War. With the North angry with the Whig Party for not doing anything to stop slavery in the South, the Republican Party was formed in 1854. In the first election since the Republican Party was created, they nominated Abraham Lincoln and won in the 1860 presidential election. And I guess it can say that it was the straw that broke the camel's back because later that year, South Carolina declared it had seceded from the Union, and with 10 other states followed, Lincoln would not recognize them as a separate country, and with this, we have the beginning of the Civil War. And here we have a timeline of the events showing that led up to the Civil War. Thank you guys so much for watching my video.